Hey, so you guys know this one character in FA? What if they just made her again, but for Zebai? Hello there, Flip here, and today we're going to be talking about Linnea, and I'm going to be giving my first impressions of her kit with some calculations, as well as my overall thoughts about how good she's going to be in the meta. But before we do that, as always, if at any points during the video you're entertained or informed, make sure to drop a like and even consider subscribing, as I talk on various topics regarding Genshin's meta and I'll try to keep you updated. Shout out to my lovely channel members, wishing you the best with your Varka or Flynn's pulls if you're going for him, and also... So currently on banner we have Varka and Flynn's, so if you'd like to cut down on the costs while going for them, then I would like to announce the sponsor for today's video, LD Shop. LD Shop is a very safe and reliable top-up site that allows you to get Primo Gems at a great deal starting from 15% off, while keeping your data safe. As for transactions, you only need to type in your UID and region, as you can see me doing here. Just needed to quickly refresh my welkin, and as you can see it's here. And make sure to use my link, as that way you'll receive an extra 15% off coupon, as well as a 5% off coupon which can save you up to $50. LD Shop goes through official channels as well, meaning that you won't lose any of the in-game benefits like first time top-up bonuses, so no need to worry. And additionally, because LD Shop is so great, users who spend over $80 will receive a VIP membership which rewards you with free welcome moons. So head over to ldshop.gg using my link in the description below. What are you waiting for? Thanks to LD Shop for sponsoring this video, now back to it. Alright, so Linnea is a 5-star Geobo character and her kit revolves around Lunar Crystallize, and she acts as both a support and a sustain for this team archetype. Her normal attacks actually do something, but it's exploration related. She's able to shoot at ores to harvest them faster, which is nice, and she will also be able to capture some animals like the Omni Ubiquity Net. Any exploration gimmicks are nice, so yeah. Now getting into her combat kit, Linnea's elemental skill will summon Lumi, who is a very fat ball of fluff, and he has 3 different forms depending on what you do. If you just tap Linnea's skill, she will summon Lumi in the superpower form, where he acts like a turret attacking nearby enemies dealing AoE damage, and if a Moondrift is nearby, which is what happens when you proc Lunar Crystallize, then Lumi will do an additional hit that is Lunar Crystallize damage. Now regarding his intervals, the gameplay we've seen doesn't really show it the clearest, and it's very likely he will act as a pet, kind of like Furina does, where he just attacks whenever he wants basically. But from trying to count the intervals from the gameplay, it looks like the lowest it can go is 1.7 and the highest is around 2.5, so expect around 6 or 7, I'm gonna fucking kill myself. Expect the turrets to proc 6 to 7 times a rotation, each proc doing 2 hits of damage, if you are doing 18-second rotations. The direct lunar charge damage that Lumi does seems to also be on a separate interval, where he attacks every other hit of your normal turret's damage, so expect around 3 to 4 hits of this a rotation. And that's the effect you get from just tapping the skill once. If you tap the skill 3 times instead of just going into a turret, Linnea will start feeding Lumi, where he starts getting bigger and then explodes. I'm not making this up, dealing a huge amount of AoE Lunar Crystallize damage, and this will be his ultimate power form. And then afterwards, Lumi will turn into a weaker form of his regular turret, where he will only do 2 hits of regular geo damage around every 5 seconds maybe. Again, the intervals just aren't very clear, and you won't get any direct crystallize damage after this happens. So where the tap skill is more sustained over your rotation time, the hold skill just blows your entire load at once. The damage or rotation you get from using either of them seems to be very similar. One damage profile is just more sustained and the other is just more front-loaded, and the tap skill also takes slightly less field time. There are slightly better results in spamming the E button for the ultra form, but I just didn't feel confident using it as we just don't have the full interval profile. I just now have realized that I've been referring to Lumi as a he this entire time. I swear to God I saw somewhere that it was a dude, but now rereading the text, I don't think it's stated to be a dude. Anyway, it's a ball of fluff. So to summarize, Lumi has 3 modes. The superpower form is the default turret form that can do direct lunar crystallize damage. His AoE nuke happens in his ultimate power form, and when he powers down after the nuke, that is his standard power form, where he just does his generic geo turret damage without any direct lunar crystallizes. Now looking at the tap skill form, especially in a Zebai party, it does very good damage, with Linnea on a team with Columbina and Illuga doing 500 to 600k damage per rotation, which is more than what Llama does even with with her hold skill on Nefer teams, but a decent bit worse than in Nefa and Flynn's teams. So her damage potential is just in the middle between those two. This means that she can also be played outside of Zibai teams as a general sub DPS for Lunar Crystallize alongside Columbina, so there is going to be a decent amount of flexibility there, just due to the amount of damage Linnea does for a new wheelchair core. Not Cry, the region of wheelchairs. Now for Linnea's burst, it is just healing. It doesn't do any damage, it just heals you. It's an initial AoE heal, and if you have 2 defense main stats, you should be healing for around 8,000 team-wide, and then afterwards she will continue to heal the current active party member for around 1,500 a tick. This could be once every second or once every 2 seconds, we don't know yet. Regardless, that's still great healing for someone who does this much damage. Okay, I did just lie. Linnea will also summon Lumi if they weren't on the field before, and if they were on the field before, then they'll be resummoned. There has kind of been a debate amongst theory crafters about what the fuck this actually means though, because the burst states that Lumi will be summoned in the superpower form, which is the form that does direct lunar crystallized damage over time. So people are thinking of doing rotations where you feed Lumi to his ultimate power form for the nuke, and then just cast Linnea's burst, so he doesn't actually lose the off-field direct lunar crystallized damage. So basically, if you burst with Linnea, you never get the downside of never doing direct lunar crystallized damage if you choose to do the nuke, and this would just be more damage or rotation. And that would be true, but the only problem I have with this line of logic is the latter part of the burst description, which states that if Luni has already struck when you cast the burst, they don't get resummoned, but instead the duration gets changed, and that more importantly his strike form doesn't change. And I'm not sure if I'm just a pessimist, but I don't know how else that can be interpreted, but maybe I'm wrong. But I think it's very unlikely that you can get both her nuke and her off-field direct lunar crystallized damage, even if you burst. So effectively, Linnea's burst just heals. And this is actually amazing because for one, Linnea is very obviously a Zibai teammate, and one of the biggest problems with Zibai if you don't have her signature is the fact that Harbinger of Dawn is a very good weapon for her, but it's very inconsistent, since you need to stay above 90% of your current HP, which when played without a shielder or healer isn't the most consistent thing in the world, which means more often than not it's better to run Flute, even though it's about 10% weaker than Harbinger. But now with this healing, you should be able to run Harbinger more consistently. Not only that, but because the burst only heals, this means you don't have to use it. Like obviously if you're low in HP, then you can just swap to Linnea and use it, but for general rotations, if you're already fine on health, Zibai is a high defense character, Linnea never really needs to burst. Therefore, she effectively has close to no energy requirement, so you just need to focus on building her offensive stats like crit and defense. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention that, but Linnea is a defense scaler. And then on top of this, commonly when adding 5 stars to your teams, it means you have to extend rotations to account for the 5-star burst animation, because it's longer than the field time 4 stars get. But since you don't have to burst, again, this is a non-issue. And she can very comfortably be played in 18-second rotations even when replacing 4 stars. So yeah, it's nice that her burst isn't mandatory. Now to get into her passives, she will give a 15% Geo Res Shred when Lumi is on the field, so that's basically 100% uptime. And if you are in Ascendant Gleam, which happens when there are 2 Nordcry characters on your party, this will be an extra 15% for a total of 30% Geo Res Shred, which again is very nice. And then for Linnea's Ascension 4, she will give an increase in EM based on 5% of her defense, which with 2 defense main stats is slightly above 100 EM, and if the character on field is a Nordcry character, the EM bonus will go to them, but if they aren't a Nordcry character, Linnea instead will gain the EM herself, which I think is a very smart way to balance Geo characters if they are going to be played in Columbina Linnea teams, as the only Geo DPS who cares about EM is Zibai, so if you want to on-field someone like Noelle or Navia, Linnea herself will gain the EM buff, which is nice. And then her last passive is of course the generic Nordcry one, where she increases your moon sign level, and also with 2000 defense she will give you a 14% lunar crystallize bonus. Right off the bat, I don't really think I need to say much, but Linnea is very strong. For one, she will just boost Zibai to the strongest DPS in the game, or well, arguable strongest, as most people probably aren't running around with a C6 Illuga, but even with just a C2 Illuga, she's still right there next to Nefer and Flynn's in terms of damage as the top 3. And then not only that, but she's actually very comparable to a C6 Illuga. So if you don't currently possess a C6 Illuga, you are better off just running Zhongli or Goro for the last slot. Well, a C6 Goro obviously. I don't know how I feel about this, because if this is the case, why make Illuga C6 so hard to get? What was the point in releasing him and making his kit so restrictive instead of just releasing Linnea? Whatever, man. I spent $400 on this character for nothing. And outside of that, the Linnea and Columbina wheelchair should also be really good. I don't really like any of the Geo DPS, so I haven't bothered calculating them yet. I'll save that for a separate video. But I assume Linnea, Columbina, and Furina should be the best core for every Geo DPS right now, besides Zibai. And those rotations are fixed at 20 seconds, and Linnea can heal. So there is some Furina synergy there with Linnea bursting every rotation, but it doesn't really hurt anything. One thing I find really funny about Linnea actually is the fact that she kind of doesn't have a weapon. Outside of her signature, obviously, there isn't really a whole lot of weapons that work with her. Most bows in the game are attack scaling or ER oriented, both things Linnea doesn't really care about. Even something like Stringless doesn't do that much, as it's only 165 EM, while giving a skill and burst damage bonus that Linnea again doesn't really care about. Linnea only cares about EM slightly, defense, and crit. And since there's no defense bows, if we want to look at the highest CV not 5-star, that is going to be the GOAT Slingshot. Yalan, is this you? So as it stands right now, you probably are going to be seeing Slingshot with Linnea if you're not getting her signature. And regarding artifact sets, you do just want to put her on Morningstar. It's by far her best set, since she does so much damage. And you want to run both the Defense Cup and Goblet. I kind of don't understand why they made her this strong, considering the last character we had is Varka. Unless Nicole is actually just going to be the best unit in the game. I don't know, I don't feel like anyone can really justify how strong Linnea is. The meta shifting this much is getting very annoying. But yes, regardless of my feelings, Linnea is very strong. Anyways, as of right now, Linnea is sitting in that chair of being on par with Anefa and Llama as supports, enabling the strongest current team in the game right now, as well as being the best investment you can make into Geo teams currently, I would say. There isn't really a competition, and she does great damage of her own while not really having much issues in her kit. Let me know what other teams you want me to calculate for the future. So with that, thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like, subscribe, and comment your thoughts on Linnea, as I would love to hear it and I respond to almost every single comment. Channel members, thank you so much for your continued support. I love you all. Hope you are enjoying the nothing there is to do in 6.4. Thank you to everyone else for watching the video, and I'll see you guys on the flip side. Peace.